one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball.
Hey, bada, swing, bada.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Rusty Vintage Cards. Today I want to share some pickups. I've been diving more into pre-war this year and some of the Oddball vintage sets. And as I'm diving in, I'm learning about how the cards are distributed, how the cards were produced. So I wanted to share some of this information along with showing these cards. And I don't claim to be the expert. This is just what I've researched and what I've learned. So if anyone has anything to add, feel free to drop it in the comments. So I'll turn this camera around and let's look at some cards. All right, first up is a 1953 Redman Nelson Fox, or Nellie Fox. So Redman was the only tobacco company to issue baseball cards since 1920. For 20 cents, you got a pouch of Redman tobacco and one baseball card. Then you could send off 50 tabs for a baseball cap from your favorite team. So that's why so many of these are available without the tabs, but still not too expensive. There's the back of this. And at the bottom, toward the bottom, it says Redman Chewers, start a collection for your boys. Cool card. Next up are exhibits cards. So this is one I picked up, autographed Bob Feller. Love how the autograph goes right up the sleeve, just good placement on that. Exhibits cards were released from the 1920s through the 1960s. They were in arcade vending machines for 1 cent each. The vending machines included different types of cards, including baseball players, football players, boxers, wrestlers, sports champions, as well as movie stars, art models, radio stars, TV stars, cowboys, Indians, automobiles, and planes. Salutations card, which is what this is, they were produced from 1939 to 1946. And most of these are going to be the blank back. There are some exhibits cards that have stat backs. Here's another one I picked up. Hownewuser. This is one of his first cards, so relatively inexpensive to get an early card of Hownewuser. There's the back. Then I showed this one on my last video. This is the Joe DiMaggio. Next up, this is a Bob Bartos postcard, if I'm saying his last name correctly. This is an autographed James Cool Papa Bell card. This is not a pre-war card, but he doesn't have many old cards available. So this one was released from 1974 to 1980. That was around the time that he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. I believe he was the 5th Negro League player to go into the Hall of Fame. So let me show the back. It says produced by Bob Bartos with an address in New Jersey. So Bob Bartos was a fireman, a photographer who just passed away on May 28th of this year. So he was a fire photographer who won over 100 awards for his work. He was also a photographer for the Courier Post, and he began covering news stories for the Philadelphia Phillies. This led him to serve as a photographer for Fleer and Donruss. Bob's photographs can be seen in the National Baseball Hall of Fame. He also produced postcards, which is what we're looking at here. Next up, this is an R313 1936 National Chicole Fine Pin Premium.
Hank Greenberg, like his Hall of Fame contemporaries Lou Gehrig and Frank Frish, was from the sidewalks of New York. His hometown teams, however, had Gehrig and Bill Terry as their first baseman when Hank came of age. And so he earned his Hall of Fame rating with the Detroit Tigers. Hank's lifetime slugging percentage was .616, and his home run and RBI totals would have been immeasurably greater had he not spent 4.5 years in the Army in World War II.
National Chicola was a gum company. They released these premium cards to promote Diamond Stars gum. The set consisted of 120 unnumbered cards which could be purchased directly from retail stores. What's interesting about this particular card is it has these stamps on the back. And typically if it has a mark on the card, that's seen as a negative. When I saw this one, I just thought it was interesting. So I did a little research. I ended up contacting the seller and asking for some additional information. I did get a little background on this. The seller had purchased a collection from this guy. That guy's grandfather was the original owner, and his initials were CH. So I'll try to get this to zoom in. If you can see that, there we go. It's CH. So they believe that his grandfather had stamped this card along with a lot of other cards that he had in this collection. A lot of these were these fine pin premiums. Next up, I've also showed this one on the first video that I did. 1951 Burke Ross panel. This is Whitey Ford and Robin Roberts. So Burke Ross, this is, again, 1951. Set comprises of 72 cards with 40 baseball players and an assortment of college football, basketball, NHL, and boxing. Not much is known about this set, and it's believed to be unlicensed. It is believed that Mr. Burke Ross may have been a photographer for Bowman, as many of the images used for this set were previously used in Bowman. One article I read said 2 popcorn companies were sued in 1952 by 7 New York Giants players for distributing cards with popcorn and possibly gum without the players' consent. So these cards were being distributed in popcorn and possibly gum, and they were unlicensed. So the players of these 7 players from the New York Giants were suing these companies. And so Burke Ross cards did not last very long. I also saw that these could be maybe referred to as the Broder cards of the early 50s. And the last card I have to show here, this is a recent pickup. This is an E120 American Caramel card from 1922. This is Frankie Frish, or it says Frank Frish on this. Just a cool card. I've wanted one of these ever since I first saw one. The image on this one's great. So this was a set of 240 cards that included team checklists on the back. Baseball cards were used as an incentive to sell more candy to kids. Each box of caramels included 1 card wrapped inside. Then on the back, this is one of the coolest things about this card, I think. So, shows the checklist, manager John McGraw, and you have names like Shufflin' Phil Douglas, Dave Beauty Bancroft, Emil Irish Musil. Thanks for watching. Again, if you have any additional information about any of these cards you'd like to share, feel free to drop it in the comments. I'll talk to you guys next time.